Sunday evening in suburbia, the kind of quiet that makes you think everyone's either disappeared or glued to Netflix. I'm in the garage, wrestling with a door opener that's been making walrus-like noises for 3 weeks. The manual is spread open on my workbench, its pages smeared with grease from my hands when the doorbell rings. Through the kitchen window, I spot the silver BMW in our driveway. Expensive. The kind that screams, "I make more in bonuses than you see in salary." I wipe my hands on an old rag and head inside. Mira's already at the door. My wife of 18 years stands there in her weekend uniform, yoga pants and a Northwestern sweatshirt that costs more than most people's car payments. She's talking to someone I recognize but have never met. Grant Solen, Regional Vice President of Operations at Meridian Financial. I've seen his picture in the company newsletter Mira brings home. Late 40s, silver hair, the kind of tan that comes from golf courses and Caribbean conferences. He's wearing Italian shoes on our welcome mat, like he owns the place. "Silas," Mira calls out, her voice hitting that particular note wives use when they want their husbands to behave. "Come meet Grant." I approach the foyer, still holding the greasy rag. Grant extends his hand with the confidence of someone who's never been told no. His grip is firm, practiced, the handshake of a man who closes deals and opens doors. "Grant Solen," he says, like I should be impressed. "I've heard wonderful things about you." "Silas Kellor," I reply, though I doubt Mira talks about me much at work. Mira laughs, but it's forced. The kind of laugh you use when your husband makes a joke that's a little too close to the truth. "Don't be ridiculous. Of course I do." Grant's still holding my hand, studying me with the intensity of someone trying to decide if I'm worth his time. Apparently, I'm not. He releases his grip and turns back to Mira. "I wanted to deliver the news personally," he says. "It's not every day we promote someone to such a critical position." My forensic accountant brain kicks in automatically. Critical position. That's corporate speak for either very important or very dangerous, sometimes both. "Mira's being promoted to my personal assistant," Grant continues. "Full-time travel, immediate start. She'll be handling all my scheduling, correspondence, and conference coordination. It's a significant step up." Mira's face lights up like Christmas morning. "Isn't it wonderful? I'll finally get to see how the real decisions are made." I nod slowly, processing. Personal assistant. In my 23 years of forensic accounting, I've audited enough companies to know what that usually means. Executive assistants handle calendars and correspondence. Personal assistants handle whatever the executive needs handled. "That's quite an opportunity," I say. "When does this start?" "Tomorrow," Grant replies. "We have a conference in Chicago on Tuesday, then Denver on Thursday. Mira will need to pack tonight." The timeline feels rushed, urgent. In my experience, urgent usually means someone's trying to avoid scrutiny. I file that observation away for later. "Well," I say, extending my hand again. Perfect timing. Grant takes it, probably wondering why I'm initiating another handshake. His grip is looser this time, distracted. "I just accepted a position on your company's board of directors," I continue. "I'll see you both at Monday's meeting." The change is immediate. Grant's grip falters. His confident smile wavers. Mira's expression shifts from excitement to confusion to something approaching panic. "Board position?" Mira asks. "What board position? You never mentioned—" "The chairman called last month," I explain, watching Grant's face carefully. "They needed someone with forensic accounting experience for oversight. Financial irregularities," he said. "I accepted before dinner." Grant's hand has gone clammy. He's trying to maintain his composure, but I can see the calculations running behind his eyes. Executive promoting employee's wife to personal assistant. Employee's husband suddenly on board of directors. The optics aren't great. "That's... Congratulations," Grant manages. "I wasn't aware the board was adding new members." "Emergency appointment," I reply. Apparently, there have been some concerns about expense reporting and travel documentation. Nothing serious, I'm sure, just standard oversight. Mira's staring at me like I've grown a second head. In 18 years of marriage, I've never taken a position without discussing it with her first. The fact that I'm mentioning it now, in front of her boss, with this timing, isn't lost on anyone in the room. I should probably get going, Grant says, backing toward the door. Mira, we'll discuss the details tomorrow morning. 8 sharp. Of course, Mira replies, but her voice sounds distant, uncertain. Grant nods at me one more time. Looking forward to working with you, Silas. Should be interesting. I'm sure it will be, I agree. I always enjoy a good audit. After Grant leaves, Mira closes the door and turns to face me. The excitement from earlier has completely evaporated. What the hell was that about? She asks. What was what about? The board position, the audit comments, the timing. You made it sound like you're investigating him specifically. I shrug, returning to my innocent husband routine. Just making conversation. New board member, new personal assistant. Seemed like an interesting coincidence. Coincidence? Well, what would you call it when your boss promotes you to personal assistant on the same day your husband joins the board that oversees his department? Mira's quiet for a long moment. I can see her trying to decide if I'm being naive or strategic. She's known me long enough to suspect the latter. The chairman really called? She asks. Richard Blackwood, chairman of the audit committee, called on March 15th. Said they needed someone with my background to review some irregularities in executive expenses. Offered me a 6-month consulting position with full board access. And you said yes without talking to me? I said yes without talking to anyone. That's how these things work, Mira. Confidential until it's official. She's studying my face now, looking for tells. After 18 years, she knows most of them. But she's also been spending a lot of time at the office lately. Her read on me isn't what it used to be. What kind of irregularities? She asks. The kind that require forensic accounting to untangle, expense reports that don't match calendars, travel documentation that doesn't align with business purposes, credit card charges that raise questions about compliance. Each word hits like a small hammer. Mira's face goes pale. You think Grant is stealing? I don't think anything yet. That's what audits are for, to separate facts from suspicions. But that's not entirely true. I've been suspicious for months, not of theft necessarily, but of something. The late nights, the weekend conferences, the new clothes and the new confidence. The way Mira's started talking about work like it's the most important thing in her life. I need to pack, she says finally. For Chicago? For tomorrow. Grant said immediate start. I nod. Better pack for more than just Chicago. Personal assistants travel a lot. Mira heads upstairs without another word. I return to the garage and my broken door opener, but my mind is elsewhere. On expense reports and travel logs, on the timing of promotions and the convenience of board appointments, on the fact that Grant Solen just made the biggest mistake of his career. He thought he was promoting my wife. What he actually did was give me a front row seat to watch him hang himself. Monday morning arrives gray and cold, typical for October in Chicago. I'm at my desk by 7, coffee steaming, laptop humming. The Meridian Financial Building towers 43 stories above the Loop, all glass and steel and corporate ambition. My temporary office sits on the 38th floor, 3 doors down from the boardroom. Not an accident. When you're conducting financial oversight, proximity matters. You want to see who comes and goes, who looks nervous, who avoids eye contact. The first box of documents arrived Friday afternoon. Travel expenses for the past 18 months, hotel receipts, flight manifests, meal charges, conference registrations, everything Grant Solen has billed to the company since January of last year. I spread the papers across my desk like a poker hand. In forensic accounting, patterns tell stories, and Grant's patterns are telling quite a story. Chicago, March 15th, hotel, Palmer House, executive suite, meals, Dinner for two at Alinea, $300. Conference, none scheduled. Denver, April 8th. Hotel, Brown Palace, Corner Suite. Meals, room service for two, breakfast and dinner. Conference, regional sales meeting. Attendance, 12 people. Grant's meal charges, enough for 20. Phoenix, May 12th. Hotel, Four Seasons, presidential suite. Meals, multiple dinners for two. Conference, quarterly planning session. Duration, 2 days. Grant's hotel stay, 4 nights. The pattern is consistent. Premium hotels, meals for two, extended stays that don't match business requirements, and always, the companion charges that aren't quite explained. My phone buzzes. Text from Mira. At airport, Chicago flight delayed an hour. Grant says we'll make up the time in meetings. I respond, safe travels, see you when you get back. But I'm already pulling up the airline records. Flight 447 to O'Hare, departing at 9:15 a.m., 2 first-class seats, charged to Grant's corporate card on Friday afternoon. Here's what's interesting about airline bookings. They leave digital trails, passenger manifests, seat assignments, upgrade requests, change fees, all of it tracked, all of it logged, all of it available to board members conducting oversight reviews. Grant Solen and Mira Kellor. Seats 3A and 3B. Booked together, paid together, traveling together to a conference that, according to my preliminary research, doesn't exist. I pick up my phone and call the Palmer House. Reservations, please. Palmer House reservations, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? I'm calling to confirm a booking for this evening. Grant Solen, Solen. Keyboard clicking. Yes, Mr. Solen. Executive suite for 2 nights. King bed, late checkout requested. Is there anything you'd like to add to the reservation? Actually, I need to modify the room type. Can you change that to 2 doubles? Oh. Pause. I'm sorry, sir, but the reservation specifically requests king bed, romantic package, champagne service, rose petals, the full amenity upgrade. Are you sure you want to change that? Romantic package, rose petals, for a business conference. Never mind, I say. Keep it as is. I hang up and add another note to my growing file. This isn't just about expense fraud. This is about something much more personal. My computer chimes with an email from Richard Blackwood, the chairman. Silas, hope your first day is productive. Board meeting moved to Wednesday to accommodate your preliminary findings. Looking forward to your insights. RB Wednesday. That gives me 2 days to build a case that will survive scrutiny. 2 days to document patterns that can't be explained away as coincidence or poor record-keeping. I pull up Grant's personnel file, hired 8 years ago, promoted to VP 3 years ago, salary $185,000, bonus structure, up to 50% based on departmental performance, stock options, modest but growing. On paper, Grant Solen is a model executive. Strong performance reviews, consistent results, no disciplinary actions, no complaints. But paper doesn't tell the whole story. I cross-reference his travel dates with stock trading records. Public information available through SEC filings. Grant's brother-in-law, Michael Torino, has been very active in the market lately. March 10th. Torino buys 5,000 shares of Meridian Financial at $34.50. March 18th. Meridian announces acquisition of smaller competitor. Stock jumps to $41.20. March 19th. Torino sells all shares. Profit, $30,500. April 3rd. Torino buys 3,000 shares at $38.90. April 15th. Meridian reports better than expected earnings. Stock rises to $44.75. April 16th. Torino sells. Profit, $17,550. The pattern repeats 6 times over 18 months. Always buying before good news. Always selling immediately after announcements. Always making money. In isolation, it could be luck. Smart investing. Good timing. Combined with Grant's travel patterns and expense irregularities, it looks like something else entirely. My phone rings. Unknown number. Silas Kellor. Mr. Kellor, this is Detective Ray Morrison, Chicago PD Financial Crimes Unit. I understand you're conducting an audit of Meridian Financial? My stomach tightens. That's correct. Board-authorized oversight review. I'm calling because we've had some inquiries about trading patterns involving Meridian stock. Nothing formal yet, but the SEC has flagged some transactions for review. I wanted to give you a heads up. What kind of transactions? The kind that happen right before major announcements. The kind that suggests someone has access to non-public information. I lean back in my chair. How can I help? We'd appreciate a copy of your findings when they're complete, particularly anything related to executive travel or communication patterns. Of course, though I should mention, this is just preliminary oversight. Nothing criminal suspected at this point. Detective Morrison chuckles. Mr. Kellor, in my experience, when the board brings in a forensic accountant for preliminary oversight, they already know what they're going to find. They just need someone to document it properly. After he hangs up, I sit quietly for several minutes. The scope of this investigation just expanded beyond expense fraud and workplace impropriety. If the SEC is involved, if criminal investigators are asking questions, then Grant Solen's problems are bigger than a romantic getaway charged to the corporate card. My computer chimes again. Email from Mira. Landed safely. Hotel is beautiful. Grant says dinner meeting at 7. Probably be late. Don't wait up. I checked the time. 2:30 p.m. Central. Their flight landed at 11:45. Even with traffic and hotel check-in, they've been in Chicago for over 2 hours. Plenty of time for whatever meeting they had planned. I call the Palmer House again. Concierge, please. Palmer House concierge. This is David. Hi, David. I'm calling about the romantic dinner package for the Solen reservation this evening. My wife wanted to confirm the restaurant and time. Absolutely, sir. Table for 2 at Alinea, 7:30. Wine pairing included. Transportation arranged. The full romantic experience, as requested. Perfect. And the champagne service in the room? Delivered at 6 p.m. as specified. Dom Perignon, strawberries, the complete setup. Will there be anything else? I hang up and make another note. Romantic dinner, champagne in the room, all charged to Meridian Financial as business expenses. Grant Solen isn't just having an affair with my wife. He's making the company pay for it. And tomorrow, when they return from their romantic getaway, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what their business trips have been funding. Tuesday evening, I'm in my home office when Mira calls. The caller ID shows her cell number, but I can hear restaurant noise in the background. Clinking glasses, muted conversations, the kind of ambient sound you get in expensive places. Hi, honey, she says, and her voice has that slightly breathless quality it gets when she's had wine. Just wanted to check in. How's Chicago? Wonderful. The conference has been so informative. Grant really knows how to structure these learning opportunities. I'm looking at my computer screen while she talks. The Palmer House concierge confirmed there's no conference. The restaurant confirmed the romantic dinner. The hotel confirmed the champagne service. That's great, I say. What sessions did you attend today? Brief pause. Oh, strategic planning, market analysis, the usual corporate stuff. Pretty boring, actually. I'm sure. Where are you having dinner? Some place Grant recommended. Very Chicago, he said. Deep dish pizza and local atmosphere. She's lying. Alinea doesn't serve deep dish pizza. It's a 3 Michelin star restaurant where dinner costs more than most people's mortgage payments. Sounds perfect, I reply. When do you fly back tomorrow? Evening flight. We have morning sessions. Then Grant wants to visit a client before we leave. Another lie. I checked. No clients in Chicago. No morning sessions. Their return flight is at 2 p.m., which means they're spending tomorrow morning in a hotel room with champagne service and room service breakfast. Well, enjoy the rest of your conference, I say. I'll see you when you get home. After she hangs up, I return to my laptop. 27 hours of investigation have produced a comprehensive picture of Grant Solen's activities. Travel fraud, expense manipulation, possible insider trading. And now, workplace harassment disguised as career advancement. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Tess Harrow, HR Director at Meridian. Can we meet tomorrow morning? I have information about your audit that might be helpful. I respond, Of course. My office at 9 a.m.? Perfect. And Mr. Kellor? This conversation should probably stay between us for now. Interesting. HR wants to talk privately about my audit. In my experience, that means either someone's trying to cover something up or someone's trying to expose something they can't officially report. I spend the next 2 hours organizing my findings into a presentation. 43 slides of expense reports, travel logs, stock trades, and timeline correlations. The story they tell is clear and damning. Grant Solen has been using company funds to finance a personal relationship while simultaneously using insider information for financial gain. The travel expenses alone total over $47,000 in 6 months. The stock trading profits exceed $150,000 in 18 months. But the real damage isn't financial. It's professional. Mira thinks she's being promoted based on merit and potential. In reality, she's being used as a convenient cover for Grant's personal and financial crimes. Wednesday morning, Tess Harrow arrives at my office precisely at 9. She's younger than I expected, maybe 35, with the kind of professional polish that comes from navigating corporate politics successfully. She carries a leather portfolio and the expression of someone who's about to share information she probably shouldn't. Thank you for meeting with me, she says, settling into the chair across from my desk. I wanted to discuss your audit before the board meeting this afternoon. What can you tell me? Tess opens her portfolio and removes a thin folder. 3 months ago, I received a complaint about Grant Solen, inappropriate workplace conduct, creating uncomfortable situations for female employees, making advancement opportunities conditional on personal availability. Who filed the complaint? That's confidential, but I will say it wasn't your wife. She slides the folder across my desk. This is what I found during my investigation: travel patterns, expense irregularities, promotional decisions that didn't follow standard protocols. I open the folder. Inside are copies of documents I've already seen, plus several I haven't. Email threads between Grant and various female employees. Calendar entries that don't match official schedules. Hotel reservations made through personal accounts and later reimbursed through corporate expenses. Why are you showing me this? I ask. Because HR complaints require corroborating evidence to proceed. Financial irregularities discovered during board oversight provide that corroboration. You want me to include workplace harassment in my audit findings? I want you to present the complete picture. Grant Solen isn't just misusing company funds. He's creating a hostile work environment and using his position to coerce female employees into inappropriate relationships. I study her face carefully. Including my wife? Tess hesitates. Your wife's situation is complicated. She believes she's being promoted based on merit. She doesn't realize the promotion is conditional on personal compliance. Personal compliance? Travel availability, after-hours accessibility, willingness to accommodate Grant's schedule and preferences without question. The pieces click into place. Mira's excitement about her promotion, her willingness to travel immediately, her belief that she's finally being recognized for her potential. She has no idea she's being groomed. What happens if I include this in my presentation? I ask. Grant gets terminated for cause, no severance, no golden parachute, and possibly criminal charges if the SEC decides to pursue the insider trading angle. And my wife? That depends on how much she knew and when she knew it. I lean back in my chair. The audit has evolved from financial oversight to something much more personal. Grant Solen isn't just stealing from the company. He's manipulating my wife into a situation that could destroy her career and our marriage. There's one more thing, Tess says. Grant's planning to announce additional personnel changes at next week's executive meeting. More promotions to personal assistant positions. More travel opportunities for female employees. He's expanding the operation? He's building a system. using promotion opportunities to create a network of employees who feel obligated to accommodate his personal requirements. I close the folder and hand it back to her. I'll include workplace conduct in my presentation, but I need to ask you something. Of course? Why are you helping me? HR directors don't usually volunteer information that could expose company liability. Tess smiles, but it's not entirely pleasant. Because Grant Solen made a mistake when he started targeting married employees. He created a situation where someone with your background and access might notice patterns that single employees couldn't investigate. You've been waiting for someone like me? I've been waiting for someone who had both the skills to document the financial irregularities and the motivation to see them through to prosecution. She stands to leave, then pauses at the door. Mr. Kellor, your wife is a good person who made poor assumptions about her career advancement. Grant Solen is a predator who uses corporate authority to manipulate vulnerable employees. Don't confuse the victim with the perpetrator. After she leaves, I sit quietly for several minutes. The board meeting is in 4 hours. My presentation is complete. The evidence is overwhelming. Grant Solen's career ends today. The only question is whether my marriage survives the fallout. The boardroom at Meridian Financial occupies the northeast corner of the 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows provide a panoramic view of Lake Michigan, while the conference table seats 16 in leather chairs that cost more than most people's cars. At 2 p.m. sharp, 8 board members file in for the emergency session. Richard Blackwood takes his seat at the head of the table, while I set up my laptop at the opposite end. Grant Solen enters last, looking confident and relaxed despite the short notice. He's wearing a charcoal suit that probably costs $3,000, and his tan has deepened since Monday. Chicago must have been good to him. Gentlemen, Blackwood begins, we're here for Mr. Kellor's preliminary audit findings. Silas, the floor is yours. I advance to the first slide. Thank you, Chairman Blackwood. Over the past 3 days, I've reviewed 18 months of executive travel expenses, focusing on patterns that might indicate policy violations or compliance issues. Grant's expression remains neutral, but I notice his hands are clasped tightly in his lap. Slide 2 shows total travel expenses by executive. As you can see, Mr. Solen's charges exceed departmental averages by approximately 40%. Murmurs around the table. Grant leans forward slightly. Slide 3 breaks down accommodation costs. Mr. Solen consistently books premium suites at luxury hotels, often for extended stays that don't correspond to scheduled business activities. I click to the next slide. For example, the Chicago trip that concluded yesterday, booked as a 2-day conference. No conference exists. Hotel charges include romantic packages and champagne service. Grant's face has gone pale. Those charges were for client entertainment, he says, relationship building with potential partners. Slide 5 shows your calendar for Monday and Tuesday. No client meetings scheduled, no partner activities logged. I advance through 6 more slides, documenting hotel stays, meal charges, and travel patterns that paint a clear picture of personal use disguised as business expenses. The total misappropriation over 18 months is approximately $73,000, I conclude. But that's not the most concerning finding. Grant shifts in his chair. Several board members are taking notes. Slide 12 correlates Mr. Solen's travel dates with stock trading activity by his brother-in-law, Michael Torino. The room goes quiet. Insider trading allegations make everyone nervous. Every major purchase coincides with Mr. Solen's return from travel. Every sale occurs immediately after company announcements. The pattern suggests access to material non-public information. Grant stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. Michael makes his own investment decisions. I have no control over his trading activity. Slide 15 shows text message records between you and Mr. Torino. The messages use coded language, but the timing is consistent with trading patterns. I read from the screen. Chicago went well. The weather forecast looks very positive for next week. You might want to pack accordingly. Sent Tuesday evening. Your brother-in-law bought 4,000 shares Wednesday morning. We announced the Hartford acquisition Thursday. Stock jumped 12%. The room erupts in whispered conversations. Blackwood calls for order. There's one final issue, I continue. The travel expenses involve female employees who were recently promoted to personal assistant positions. HR has documented a pattern of workplace conduct that suggests these promotions may be conditional on personal availability rather than professional qualifications. Grant's confidence finally cracks. That's completely false. These are merit-based promotions. I resent the implication. Mr. Solen, Blackwood interrupts, I think you should sit down. This is a witch hunt, Grant continues. Kellor has a personal agenda. His wife works in my department. He's trying to manufacture a scandal to advance his own position. I advance to my final slide. Actually, Mr. Solen, my wife is one of the employees affected by your promotional practices. She believes she's traveling with you for professional development. She doesn't realize she's being groomed for personal compliance. The room falls silent. Grant's mouth opens, but no words come out. The evidence suggests a systematic pattern of financial fraud, securities violations, and workplace harassment, I continue. The total exposure to the company exceeds $200,000 in direct costs, plus potential regulatory fines and civil liability. Blackwood looks around the table. Questions for Mr. Kellor? Board member Patricia Walsh raises her hand. What's your recommendation for immediate action? Terminate Mr. Solen for cause. Recover misappropriated funds. Cooperate with SEC investigation. Review all recent promotions in his department for policy compliance. And the employees involved in the travel arrangements? That depends on their level of awareness. Some may be victims of manipulation rather than willing participants. Grant finally finds his voice. You can't do this. I've given 8 years to this company. My performance reviews are exemplary. This is all circumstantial evidence and personal speculation. Blackwood stands. Mr. Solen, you're suspended pending further investigation. Security will escort you to collect your personal belongings. Your access cards and company devices will be deactivated immediately. This isn't over, Grant says, pointing at me. You've made a serious mistake. No, I reply. You made the mistake when you decided to use my wife as cover for your criminal activity. Security arrives within minutes. 2 guards in navy blazers who look like they've done this before. Grant gathers his jacket and briefcase with as much dignity as he can manage, but his hands are shaking. As they escort him out, he stops at my chair. Your wife came willingly, he whispers. She enjoyed every minute of it. I stand slowly, meeting his eyes. I know. That's what makes this so satisfying. After Grant leaves, the board spends another hour discussing next steps. Legal review, SEC cooperation, employee interviews, the machinery of corporate damage control grinding into motion. At 4:30, my phone buzzes with a text from Mira. Just landed. Grant seems upset about something. Says there was an emergency board meeting. Is everything okay? I respond, everything's fine. See you at home. But everything isn't fine. Grant Solen's career is over. The SEC investigation will probably result in criminal charges, and my wife is about to discover that her dream promotion was actually a carefully orchestrated manipulation. The drive home takes 45 minutes in rush hour traffic. 45 minutes to figure out how to explain to Mira that I've just destroyed the career of the man she thought was mentoring her. 45 minutes to prepare for the conversation that will either save our marriage or end it. Mira's car is already in the driveway when I arrive home. The lights are on in the kitchen, and I can see her silhouette through the window. She's pacing, which means she's either angry or anxious, possibly both. I sit in my truck for a moment, gathering my thoughts. 3 days ago, I was a husband who suspected his wife of having an affair. Now I'm a forensic accountant who's exposed a criminal conspiracy that happens to involve my marriage. The front door opens before I reach it. Mira stands there in her travel clothes, still carrying her overnight bag. Her expression is unreadable. "We need to talk," she says. I agree. We move to the living room. Mira sets her bag down and turns to face me. "Grant was terminated this afternoon. Security escorted him out of the building. His access cards were deactivated. His office was sealed." I heard. "You heard?" "Silas, what the hell is going on? 3 days ago, I get the promotion I've been working toward for 2 years. Today, my boss is fired and everyone's treating me like I have the plague." I take a deep breath. Grant Solen was stealing from the company. Travel fraud, expense manipulation, possible insider trading. The board asked me to investigate. "You investigated my boss?" "I investigated financial irregularities. Grant happened to be the source." Mira's face flushes. "Don't play word games with me. You knew about this when he came here Sunday night. You knew about it when you shook his hand and mentioned the board position. You set him up." "I documented his crimes. There's a difference." "His crimes? What crimes? Taking me to conferences? Investing in company stock? Having dinner meetings?" I pull out my phone and scroll to the photos I took of my audit findings. "Chicago had no conference, Mira. The Palmer House confirmed your reservation included romantic packages and champagne service. Alinea doesn't serve deep dish pizza. And Grant's brother-in-law made $150,000 trading on insider information." The color drains from her face. "That's not..." "We had business meetings, client dinners, strategic planning sessions." "With whom?" I checked. No clients in Chicago, no meetings scheduled, no business purpose for the trip. Mira sits down heavily on the couch. "You're saying Grant lied to me?" "I'm saying Grant used you. The promotion, the travel, the special attention, it was all designed to make you complicit in his financial fraud while grooming you for personal compliance." Personal compliance? He was building a network of female employees who felt obligated to accommodate his personal requirements in exchange for career advancement. Mira's quiet for a long moment. I can see her replaying conversations, re-examining interactions, reassessing assumptions. "The other women," she says finally. "Jennifer from accounting, Lisa from operations. They both got promoted to personal assistant positions in the last 6 months. All with travel requirements, all reporting directly to Grant, all isolated from normal departmental oversight. But we never did anything inappropriate. The hotel rooms were separate. The dinners were business discussions." "The hotel rooms weren't separate, Mira. I have the reservation confirmations. King beds, romantic packages, champagne service." Her face goes white. "That's impossible. I had my own room, my own key card." I show her the Palmer House confirmation on my phone. 1 reservation, 1 room, 1 bed. Mira stares at the screen, her expression shifting from confusion to realization to horror. "Oh God," she whispers. "He told me there was a booking error, that they'd fix it in the morning. He gave me his corporate card to book a second room, but the front desk said everything was full." "So where did you sleep?" "The couch. He insisted I take the bed, but I thought it was inappropriate. I spent both nights on the couch in the sitting area." I feel something inside my chest loosen slightly. "You never shared the bed?" "Never. And the dinners were business discussions, market analysis, strategic planning, departmental restructuring. He was teaching me how executive decisions get made, while charging romantic dinners to the company and using the information for insider trading." Mira puts her head in her hands. "I'm so stupid. I thought he saw potential in me. I thought I was finally getting the recognition I deserved." "You're not stupid. You're a victim of workplace manipulation by someone who used corporate authority to create situations you couldn't properly evaluate. But now everyone thinks I was sleeping with him. Everyone thinks my promotion was payment for favors." "Some people might think that initially, but the evidence shows you were manipulated, not complicit." Mira looks up at me. "What evidence?" "Hotel records show you never used the bed. Restaurant charges show you ordered separate meals and avoided alcohol. Your calendar shows you maintained professional boundaries even while being isolated from normal oversight. How do you know all that? Because I've spent 3 days documenting everything. Not just Grant's crimes, but your responses to his manipulation. The evidence shows you behaved professionally, even when he was creating inappropriate situations. We sit in silence for several minutes. Outside, the neighborhood is settling into its evening routine. Kids being called in for dinner, dogs being walked, normal suburban life continuing while our world realigns itself around new realities. What happens now? Mira asks. Grant's probably facing criminal charges. The SEC is investigating the insider trading. The company will recover the misappropriated funds. And me? That depends on what you want to happen. Mira studies my face. You could have told me about the investigation. You could have warned me about Grant's real intentions. Why didn't you? It's a fair question, one I've been asking myself for 3 days. Because I needed to see how you'd respond to his manipulation. I needed to know whether you were a victim or a participant. And what did you conclude? That my wife has better judgment and stronger principles than I gave her credit for. Even when someone was using corporate authority and career advancement to pressure you into inappropriate situations, you maintained professional boundaries. Mira's eyes fill with tears. I really thought I was finally getting the career I deserved. You are getting the career you deserve, just not the way Grant Solen was offering it. What do you mean? I pull out another document from my briefcase. The board is restructuring Grant's department. They need an interim director while they search for permanent leadership, someone who understands the operational requirements but wasn't involved in the financial irregularities. You recommended me? I recommended the person best qualified for the position. The fact that she's my wife is secondary to the fact that she's the only departmental employee with clean hands and comprehensive knowledge of the operational requirements. Mira takes the document and reads it carefully. Interim Director of Operations. Salary increase of 30%. Full departmental authority pending permanent appointment. The promotion you actually earned, based on merit rather than manipulation. She looks at me with an expression I haven't seen in months. Respect mixed with gratitude, mixed with something that might be love. Thank you, she says quietly. For what? For protecting me from something I didn't even know I needed protection from. And for believing I was worth protecting. I move to the couch and sit beside her. Mira, I've been a forensic accountant for 23 years. I've investigated hundreds of cases of corporate fraud and workplace misconduct. But I've never had a case where the victim was someone I cared about. Was it hard? Watching me get manipulated while you built your case? It was terrifying, because I didn't know how it would end. I didn't know whether you'd recognize the manipulation or fall victim to it. I didn't know whether our marriage would survive the investigation. Mira leans against my shoulder. And now? Now I know that my wife is stronger and smarter than either of us realized. And that sometimes the best way to protect someone is to give them the opportunity to protect themselves. Outside, the streetlights are coming on, another suburban evening settling into quiet domesticity. But inside our house, something has shifted. The investigation is over. Grant Solen's career is finished, and my marriage, which I thought was ending, might actually be stronger than it was before. Tomorrow, Mira will start her new position as interim director. The SEC will continue their investigation. The company will implement new oversight procedures. But tonight, for the first time in months, we're sitting together on our couch, planning a future that doesn't include secrets, manipulation, or misplaced trust. Grant Solen thought he was promoting my wife to personal assistant. What he actually did was give me the opportunity to show her that she deserved something much better than anything he could offer. And in the end, that's exactly what she got.